and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. In Isaiah 25:9 we read, "It will be said on that day, Lo, this is our God. We have waited for him, so that he might save us. This is the Lord for whom we have waited. Let us be glad and rejoice in his salvation." As we continue this week to look at stories of Bible people who waited faithfully for God to act in their lives, we turn today to the unusual and enigmatic tale of Elisha and the Shunammite woman. She's called the Shunammite woman because she was from the town of Shunem, a small but wealthy region near or in Samaria. When she appears in the Bible story, she is shown giving hospitality to Elisha, the prophet of God. When Elisha was passing through the town on his journeys, she gave him food and a place to stay. Eventually, she convinced her husband to add an upper room to their house so that Elisha had a regular place to stay when he was passing through. Elisha seems to have something of a regular route he took, and he stayed in their home frequently. Finally, one time, Elisha asked her what he could do for her in return for her hospitality. Did she need a word spoken on her behalf to the king or someone else? When she answered that she didn't need anything like that, Elisha then asked his servant if he knew anything she needed. And his servant answered with what the woman probably thought Elisha had no power to give. The woman had no child. Last week, as we talked about people who did not wait so patiently for God, we discussed how important having a child was for women in that day. Indeed, in that time, it was the main purpose of a woman to provide children. It was understood that was her reason for being, and if she didn't produce children, she was looked down on and thought to be less than other women who did bear children. Often in the Bible, women talk about having joy when they have children. It's the joy of a child, yes, but also the joy of living up to who the woman thought she should be and who society thought she should be too. It was a big deal. Well, the Shunammite woman had no child. So Elisha found her, and standing in the doorway told her that when it was time the next year, she would bear a child. She offered an interesting reaction. "Don't deceive me," she said. In other words, don't be playing tricks on me, or make fun of me, or promise something I have no hope of actually having. Elisha assured her his words were true. Maybe we too have hoped for something secretly that we never expected to happen. Maybe in our waiting for the longing of our hearts, we have given up any realistic hope and have resigned ourselves to it never coming true, even to the point of refusing to believe because we don't want our hopes dashed again. That's how the Shunammite woman felt. She didn't dare to believe because she didn't dare risk hoping again, only to see disappointment. Even still, she was faithful in her belief in God and in her hospitality to Elisha. Well, it turned out that Elisha's words were true, and in due time she did conceive and bear a son. Imagine her joy at the gift of a child and the gift of being able to fulfill her purpose. Now, that's not all the story of Elisha and the Shunammite woman. The whole story is told in 2 Kings chapters 4 and 8. Briefly, when the child was older, he suddenly died. The woman goes in search of Elisha and begs him to come with her. He does, and long story short, raises the boy to life again. Then later, the woman had to leave her home to avoid a famine, and when she returns, she has lost all her wealth and belongings. Elisha speaks to the king about it, and all the woman's goods are restored. What does all this have to do with waiting? Through all this, the adversity of not having a child and being unfulfilled, the adversity of having her joy fulfilled and then taken away, the adversity of losing everything, through it all, the woman was faithful to God. Her faith remained steadfast and strong, and when trouble came her way, she turned to God for help. That's the perfect kind of waiting we are called to do. Elisha 40, verse 31, might well be speaking of this kind of faith. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.